Looking at number one, we're finding the arc length of all these from the length of the arc. So in order to do that, we need to know the radius. What's the radius? 17. And then the angle is 210. And that's all over 360. You plug that one in. 2 pi times 16 times 150 over 360. Okay, so what y'all get? 45 over 3.
Yeah.
And then that as a fraction is 41.9.
Yeah.
Okay, so F means F, and L means L.
Okay, so number 3, we got 2 pi times our radius 12 times our angle 30 all over 360.
Say that.
Yeah.
I have to put the audio, like the feature on the floor.
You do not, you can choose which one you want to put down. I just put both of them because you get to choose. Okay, so I've got 5 and 6 cents up there if you want to check those. Make sure you check them. And on the back of that page, on page 28, you're using sector area, which is the opposite formula. The pi r squared times theta over 360. And we know we're using that because the directions tell us we're using that. So on number 11, you'll have pi times your radius 18 squared times 90 over 360. and we get 81 pi, which is the same as 64.5. So go ahead and work on those on that page.
Yes.
Agree with those? Okay. So that's all we're gonna do for our length and sector area. So now we're gonna look at equations of circles, and this is the last thing for this unit. I also want to tell y'all's final is going to be next Thursday. Thursday, because we're doing first, second on Thursday, third and fourth on Friday. And what your final is going to be, it's not gonna be over the whole semester. It's gonna be over what we're gonna do Friday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, which is volume. And that's all it's gonna be over, is volume. Which you've seen before,
That's all you need.
they teach it in fifth grade, so you've seen it before. So your final's gonna be over volume. Which you get a formula sheet for.
Okay.
Yes.
So, just wanted to let y'all know, test Thursday, final next Thursday. So looking at these examples down here, we're taking our equation of a circle and we're finding the center and the radius from those things. So if you look at x squared plus y squared equals 25. The h would be in the x one, the y would be, or the k would be with the y. Since there's nothing in there, your h and your k are 0 and 0. And then your radius, since the formula is radius squared, if you want to find your radius, you just take the square root of the last thing. So I took the square root of 25, and I found my radius was 5. So if I did number 4, if I want to find my center, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the sign of my h. So it's -5 right now. When I bring it out, it's going to be +5. When I want to find my k, I'm looking at the y one. It's +1 inside, so when I take it out, it becomes -1.
That's it?
Yep. And then to find my radius, I'm just gonna do square root of 144. And what's the square root of 144? 12. So my radius would equal 12. I already did number 2. We have +8, bringing out its -8. -3, bringing out its +3. Square root of 100 gives you a radius is 10. What's my h going to be on number 5? If there's not an h in there, it's going to be 0. And then bring out the 2, make it a -2. So my center would be at 0, -2. And then to find my radius, I have to do square root of 18. The square root of 18 gives you 3 on the square root of 2. Or if you change it to a decimal, 4.2.
You have to put in a system.
I would take it wrong. Number 3, what would my center be? 4, 0. Because there's nothing with the y, so it would be 0. And then my radius, what's the square root of 1? 1. Number 6, what's my center? 0, 0. And then my radius, what's the square root of 16? 4. 4, so my radius is 4. Okay. On that next step, you're just taking the center and the radius and you're putting them into the equation. So I did number 1, I wrote it out where I put in x minus 0, y minus 0. You don't have to do that. You could go ahead and just skip straight to this part. Same with this one right here. I put it in just to show the work of how that -3 becomes a +3. But again, you can skip to the final thing. So on number 3, I'm gonna have x minus my h. So if it's a -7, when it goes into the equation, it becomes a +7. So I have x plus 7 squared plus y plus 0 squared, which is just gonna give you y squared. This is the 0. And then what's 10 squared? 100. So that is my equation. On number 4, I'm gonna have x plus 5 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 2 squared, which is 4. Okay, next one, I'm just gonna have x squared plus y squared equals 1. And then the last one, x minus 4 squared plus y minus 8 squared equals 22 squared, which is 484.
Yeah. We have a graph too.
Okay, so on this one, when you want to graph it, first you have to find its center, then you need to find the radius. What would the center of this be? 1, 1. So I'm just going to graph 1, 1. And then what would my radius be? What's the square root of 9? 3. So my radius is 3. So in order to graph this, I'm just going to go up 3, right 3, down 3, left 3. So up 3, right 3, down 3, left 3. Looks like a square right now, but the next best dot, if my iPad would work. And you have your circle. To do on this one is I need to find the center, then I need to find the radius. So where is my center at? Here's 0, 0. At -1, 0. And then your radius, how far is it from the center to any side? 2. So my radius is 2. So now that I have that, I can plug it into the equation just like I did right here, right above it. So I'll have x plus 1 squared plus y squared equals 2 squared, which is 4. With this equation, we can determine if a point is on the circle. We can do that by substituting the point into the formula for x and for y. So basically, in that first example, it wants to know if 2, 3 is on the circle, x minus 2 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 16. What you're going to do, you're going to plug in 2 and 3 into x and y, and you're going to see if it gives you 16. If it's equal, it's yes. If it's not equal, it's no. So let's plug that in. So 2 minus 2 squared plus 3 plus 1 squared should equal 16. 2 minus 2 is 0. 3 plus 1 is 4. So what's 0 squared plus 4 squared? 16. Does 16 equal 16? Yes. So that answer would be a yes. Okay? Next, I want to see if 0, 5 on this circle, so 0 plus 1 squared plus 5 minus 4 squared should equal 1 if it is on a circle. So 0 plus 1 is 1. 5 minus 4 is 1. What's 1 squared plus 1 squared?
2.
Does 2 equal 1? No. That would be a no. Same thing on the last one, 5 plus 1 squared plus 2 minus 2 squared should equal 36. 5 plus 1 is 6. So 6 squared, 2 minus 2 is 0. So 0 squared. What's 6 squared plus 0 squared?
36.
Is 36 equal 36? Yes.
I was allowed.
Is we're gonna write an equation of a circle given only the center and a point. So what you do is you substitute the center and the point into the formula for HK, X, and Y, solve for the radius, and then write the equation with the center and the radius. So what I like to do when I'm doing this is I like to go ahead and write out my equation like I would if I already was given my radius. So my center right here is what? 0, 0. So that means I'd have x squared plus y squared, and that would equal my radius squared, right? But I've got to find that radius squared. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take that 5 comma negative 12, and I'm going to plug it in for x and y and see what it gives me. So I'll have 5 squared plus negative 12 squared, and I'm going to see what that equals. Be careful with that negative 12, okay? Has to be in parentheses. So what's 5 squared plus 12 squared? 169. So that right there is what my radius squared would equal, which is what would go here in my formula. So I just plug back in that 169, there's my formula. Not my formula, my equation. So basically, plug it in your center or into the equation, then plugging in the point and seeing what that gives you. We'll go back up in the blank. Okay, so on this next one, I'm gonna write the equation of my circle first with my center. I know it's 2, negative 3. So I'm gonna have x minus 2 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals my radius squared, which is what I've got to find. So now that I have that, I'm going to take the negative 4 and the 5 and plug it in for x and y, just like I was doing above. So negative 4 minus 2 squared plus 5 plus 3 squared. What's negative 6 squared plus 8 squared? So that's what would go up there in my blank. Same thing. X plus 5 squared plus y plus 7 squared equals my radius squared. Gotta find that. Now I'm gonna plug in 3 and 0 for the x and the y. So you'll get 8 squared plus 7 squared. That gives you 113. That's what goes into the blank. Okay. Now I want you to practice page 31 and 32.